This is Inside Town Hall, a behind-the-scenes look at city government and the issues affecting you and your family.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Inside Town Hall. I'm your host, Madeline Shields. Coming up on the program, we talk about the Siouxland Heritage Museums. You need to get out to the museums. If you haven't been there since you were a child, lots have changed. We'll hear more about that and much more when we return.
My hero is my neighbor because she rakes the lawn for me when I can't.
She's always there whenever anyone needs a helping hand.
My teacher is my hero because she always makes time for everyone.
Well, summertime is a great time to take a stroll down memory lane and to find out more about our history in Sioux Falls and in South Dakota. You could visit the Siouxland Heritage Museums. And joining me today is City Councilor Pat Starr, and his guest is Bill Hoskins, the director of the Siouxland Heritage Museums. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's talk a little bit about the Siouxland Heritage Museums. What makes up all of the museums?
Well, today the Siouxland Heritage Museums are comprised of the Old Courthouse Museum, which is owned by Minnehaha County, and the Pettigrew Homan Museum, which is owned by the city of Sioux Falls. And for about 45 years, the city and the county have been in partnership to operate this museum system. And both buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places. Both are actually designed by the same architect, a guy named Wallace Dow. Completed about a year apart from each other. The Pettigrew in 1889, the year South Dakota became a state. The Old Courthouse in 1890. Both are open to the public daily.
Well, I think what's really exciting about the Old Courthouse Museum and the system is that we have a number of programs. I'm fortunate enough, one of my roles on the council is to serve on the board of directors for the Siouxland Heritage Museum. So we get to see not only the building and the operations at the museums, but the Old Courthouse is available for rentals. We have a lot of weddings and special events that are there that people get to enjoy the facility. Some of the behind the scenes things that give people a chance, it's the other programs that we do. So whether it's tours, you share a couple of those, Bill, because I think they sell out so fast that people have to get to be part of it right away.
We have a number of different exhibitions at the Old Courthouse Museum. We actually have 6 different galleries. An exhibit on World War I right now, one on prints of George Catlin. He was an artist that traveled up the Missouri in the 1830s, and we have some original lithographic prints by George Catlin of the Sioux. We have an exhibit on the teepee. Up on second floor, we have an exhibit on historic theaters in Sioux Falls, and one on the tonics and tools of early medicine. And on third floor, an exhibit on country schools in Minnehaha County. The Pettigrew also has exhibits as well as the historic house. And the historic house is furnished as Richard Franklin Pettigrew. He was the first U.S. Senator from South Dakota and a founder of our city, as his home between 1911 and 1926. We also have a number of exhibits. One on Pettigrew's travels. In 1897, he traveled to Asia, to Japan and China, and his experiences there and observations, which is really interesting. And upstairs on second floor in the exhibit museum edition, we have an exhibit on the history of Sioux Falls and really the startup of our community up until the 1920s. We do a lot of programming on and off site. Last year, about 800 programs on and off site for about 47,000 people. Those programs on site range from Star Lab. We have an inflatable planetarium a lot of people go to, and we have those Star Lab programs for the public every Thursday through the summer. We have a number of other programs, things like Pioneer Day Camp coming up at Beaver Creek Nature Area Tuesdays in June, and Kids Activity Day, which is a make and take craft program at the Old Courthouse Museum.
Let's talk a little bit about why it's so important to get these exhibits out into the public instead of the public coming into the museum to see them. I'm going to date myself. I think I did a story on that Star Lab when I worked in TV news. It's got to be 20 some years ago at least. Has it changed, or is it still just going from school to school? It's because it's a whole new generation of children that are seeing this.
Well, we do a lot of our programming on site and a lot out in the schools. And one of the reasons we'll take programs out into the schools is just availability. School schedules, teacher schedules, the limited funds for field trips and so on. So we'll take programming out into the schools that help support the museum's mission. And often a lot of those kids will then come into the museum with their parents.
What's kind of fun for me is at my daughter's school, they had a Pioneer Week. And so they dressed up, but the Old Courthouse Museum was able to provide, they weren't able to take the kids that week because of scheduling and things Bill was talking about, but they actually have a kit that's available that had some Pioneer games in it. And it was so easy for me to just grab because the instructions were there, it was in a tote, it was easy to share. So there's all kinds of resources that fit the busy school systems and the things that are going on in the classroom.
Do you think a lot of those children would not have access to going to the museums if they didn't bring it to the schools?
Well, I think it's access to the museum, but it's also being able to fit what's going on, because when you talk to educators, it's cramming in so much right now that they are going in a lot of different directions. So if we can take history and supplement their education and making it easy for them, that just it helps teachers out a lot. And then it gets kids that they may go home and talk to their parents and say, Mom, Dad, why don't we go here? And it's things that are right here in our community that they can take part in.
Let's talk a little bit about the exhibits that come to the museums and how they are changed. How long does an exhibit stay in Sioux Falls?
Well, our exhibitions are all developed by the staff of the Old Courthouse Museum. And really we design our exhibitions to last 18 to 24 months. It's really a level of investment. The public, there's always something new coming to the Old Courthouse Museum, for instance. And what our goal is to open something new every quarter through the year, every 3 months. So there's something new. Things will remain up, so they're up for a while. The public can be pretty tough on exhibits. and so really our level of economic investment in our exhibitions is that. We also limit the length of time for another reason, which is just the care of the artifact. And a lot of things, when you've got the bright lights on for exhibition, you have more light damage than you do when they're sitting in a vault someplace in storage.
Now, when these exhibitions come, are they owned by the Siouxland Heritage Museums and then swapped out, or are they brought in for a visit and someone else owns them?
The artifacts that come in on an exhibition are both the property of the Siouxland Heritage Museums that are being rotated from storage into an exhibition. And sometimes, depending on the topic, we will borrow from individuals or other museums, historical societies for a specific period of time during that exhibition.
Okay. So if people have said, oh, I've been to the Pettigrew Museum, I've been to the Old Courthouse Museum, I went when I was a kid, you are telling them get back in there because there's always new things coming.
That's absolutely right. The Pettigrew is not the way it was when I was a 10-year-old and went there with Grandpa. It's completely different than it was then. And we really make an effort to have some things that are fairly constant over an 8-10 year time period, but a lot changes every year. And sometimes seasonally. In the historic house, we will actually rotate artifacts depending on the season. We decorate at Christmas season. We have little different furnishings in the summertime. And we have some special events coming up July 24th. We're going to be celebrating Mr. Pettigrew's birthday. And we also have a historic homes tour that happens in the neighborhood where several other of the neighbors open their homes graciously and help us raise money for our operation.
Since many of these exhibitions are owned by the museums, where are they when they are not on exhibit?
Well, at the moment, they're in every nook and cranny that we can find to store them. In the basement, the attic, the closet, rented off-site storage places. But that is appearing, at the end is in sight on that. And we are completing this summer a new building to house the museum's collection and also provide a place where the public can come and do historical research on some of the things that we have in the collection.
And this is the Archives Center?
Yes, we're building a new archives center for the museums. Bob and Kari Hall donated 25 acres of land, and 5 acres of that was retained for the archive site, and the rest was sold for about $1.3 million, which is paying for a third of it. So a third is coming in the form of a donation from the Halls, more than a third with the land, the 5 acres that they're reserving for the land, and then a third from the city and a third from the county. So what's exciting to me is that people are going to be able to have access to all of the collections that are available. Right now, Bill or Mr. Hoskins was talking about, you know, if you go through the Courthouse Museum, every place they could look, they've used for storage. As the collection has grown over the years. So it's really exciting to be able to take that collection, put it in a place where the public can gain access to it. And I know Bill will talk a little bit about what's available for people once the building opens. It's the same research that's going on. It doesn't make sense to preserve this history if the public can't get access to it. So there's a lot of genealogical information that people use, but they're being able to, whether they're writing research papers or family histories and trying to go through that process. So getting it in a place where people can use it, as well as taking some of the load off of the building itself. And I think Bill will talk a little bit about some of the the analogies of how much weight is actually being stored in some of the locations. One of the things that I did when I joined the board for the museums was actually getting a tour. And I'm excited as the stuff comes out. A lot of it's cataloged, but I think we'll find some things that we didn't necessarily know were there or had forgotten or moved around and getting access to them. So.
How do you keep track of all the different storage locations that you have items in? And what is the danger to these artifacts having them in all these different places?
Well, we have a computerized database, and we have about 106,000 objects on the computerized database. Right now we use a location code so we can walk right to a specific artifact. Some of the big challenges, we've got two fabulous historic buildings. I mean, the Old Courthouse Museum, the Pettigrew are great structures. They're going to continue to be museums and open just the way they are today to the public. One of the challenges, though, is the environment. The Old Courthouse has no heating or air conditioning in the basement or in the attic. Occasionally we have some water problems. Long ago, a structural engineer told us that the attic was not intended to hold anything, and right now it's a warehouse. And we really need to, for the health of that structure, move those artifacts out. And so this new building offers us a very environmental excuse me, it offers us the opportunity to have a great environment for those historic artifacts, one where we can control the temperatures, control the humidities, control the amount of light they're getting, but also it's going to improve the structural health of the Old Courthouse Museum while allowing us to actually expand some of our gallery space at the Old Courthouse Museum and some other things.
Explain why you think it's important for the city to take a role in the museums.
Well, I think, you know, it goes back to, we have a rich history of Sioux Falls, and there are those opportunities to preserve that history, and if we don't do it correctly, we lose the opportunity in the future to share with our children, to share with the next generations. And that's a responsibility of government and the city and the county. And what's awesome is that we've been able to partner together between two units of government to preserve this history for our community and future generations.
And this building has been a long time coming, the Bob and Carrie Hall donation.
Absolutely. It's gone through multiple stages, multiple designs. It's gotten a little bit smaller over each design process to make it happen. But I go back to the same thing. If we preserve this history, but we can't access it, or researchers or just families that want to know a little bit more about our community and where they came from, giving them the opportunity to access the information is what's going to be key. There's a working space available, a conference room where artifacts can be brought out of storage. It's a very organized system that we have now, but it's difficult for researchers to get to. This will make it much smoother for people as they're doing research, whether they're just trying to know their family history. So it's really exciting to be able to get that. We've preserved it, now let's use it, or let's have access to it.
Do you have families out there that maybe have artifacts or have things that contact you, or if they do think they have something that would be beneficial to the museum, do you visit with them and accept those items?
We have new donations that come in every year. We are actually going to put a moratorium on donations from the end of June until the end of the year, just while we're moving the collection, and so we don't lose things in the process. But it's something that we are looking for, and we are not only willing to take artifacts in other words, your family gives grandma's dress or these historic photos to the museum's collection, but we also work with the public and help them preserve their own collections, their own family story. And really, one of the things the museum's really about, whether it's the exhibition program, our education programs, or the collections, is we're really about preserving the story. Because, you know, this pen was used by Pat Starr to sign this important document. That makes the pen much more valuable than it's a big pen. And really, that's one of the things we're really striving to do, is help the community preserve its stories and share those stories with the public.
In the time that we have left, tell us one more time, what can people see this summer, and why should they get out there? What are we expecting to see?
Well, I would encourage everyone to come to the Old Courthouse Museum and the Pettigrew. We've got some really fantastic buildings. There's some great programs through the summer. We have a Friday noon concert at the Old Courthouse Museum. That's free to the public. We have our historic homes tour in July, and a lot of day camps and other programs. Most of this is free to the public. Admission to both the Pettigrew and Old Courthouse Museums free. We do take donations, but it's a great opportunity. And you want something to do on a Sunday afternoon? The museums are open.
Yeah, how do we know what time the museums are open or what days they're open?
We do have a website, www.siouxlandmuseums.com. And that's one place to check, but really the museums are open 7 days a week. Okay. Pretty much 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday it's noon to 5.
Okay.
More importantly, ask your kids. They've seen this as part of their school programs, they've done it, and that's what usually works in our family. I ask the kids what they want to do, and a lot of times the Pettigrew or the Old Courthouse Museum, they're always asking, is there something new? And I'm able to tell them, yes, every quarter there's something new. It's history, but it's new, and it's exhibited in a great way.
So moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunts and uncles, if you've seen it 20 years ago, it's different. So get down there today. When are the toilets coming back? I think that was one of my favorites. Well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they had a huge exhibit on nothing but toilets, and it was awesome.
Not real soon, but we try and have some of those great exhibits that everyone can relate to. And the toilets was one of them.
Well, apparently that's my thing. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us for Inside Town Hall. When we come back, we're going to visit more with Councilman Pat Starr. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
A sump pump can be your first line of defense against getting water in your basement. Don't wait until it's too late to verify your sump pump is working properly. Make sure your hose discharges into your yard, away from your house, or into a stormwater or sump pump collection system. Never discharge into a sink, toilet, shower, or floor drain. Also, consider a backup system in case your home loses power. For more information, go to the city's website at siouxfalls.org/sump pump.
Welcome back to Inside Town Hall, where we are visiting with City Councilor Pat Starr. Let's talk a little bit about the city of Sioux Falls is looking at a flag, designing a flag. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Over the last couple of years, there were a group of people that came together and had a design competition. Sioux Falls is one of the few cities across the nation that doesn't have an official flag. And they brought forth a design, an idea. You see them flying around Sioux Falls now, but as a council and a city, we haven't taken the time to actually adopt that flag as our official flag. So what we're looking at is an informational meeting at the end of June. And then what we would do is by resolution adopt that flag. There's a great group of people, a lot of downtown, what I call downtown people, that have been behind this, whether it's the design process. A council candidate really brought it up again, and so there's just been a group of people who have said, we need an official flag for the city of Sioux Falls. It's always funny because people always say to me, well, don't you have more important things to do? But it's like our history. It's who we are. It's a visual reminder of the community to bring us together.
So have the flag designs already been submitted? Is that process over?
That process has already been completed. There's a design, like I said, that's already in place, and you will see it around Sioux Falls. It kind of has a falls look and design to it. It's kind of a red and a yellow and a blue look that people are used to seeing. Like I said, you can see it around some downtown businesses. When I was driving through a neighborhood the other day, I saw someone had it, they were flying it out in front of their house. So again, we'll go through the process, the legalities of how do you make that public access so that there aren't copyright infringements, and being able to share the design with the community. And then I think there will be vendors on their own who will step forward to have it available for the citizens to fly proudly.
So the flag itself has already been chosen.
Correct.
The one flag that will be voted on and accepted.
Exactly. Okay. And we've just been over a couple of year process. Like most things government, we kind of have drug on into making sure that our legal department and the city attorney's office is happy with making sure that there aren't any liability to the city, that who owns the copyright, and how that it's free use. For people to be able to reproduce, and whether it's in stickers and bumper stickers or flags or just all of the things that you could imagine, from water bottles to all the ability to promote our community and say, hey, I live in Sioux Falls and I'm proud of it.
Okay. The USD Discovery District, that's coming up more on that this summer?
Yes, we're in that process of, as a council, we've pushed really hard to support the USD Discovery District. And really what I need to do is probably back up just a little bit and explain what the district is and what the purpose is. The University of South Dakota, under the direction of President Abbott, has moved a majority of their medical research to Sioux Falls. So they have roughly 500 acres now in the northwest part of Sioux Falls where they're able to, and they're looking at bringing in high-tech, biotech type of companies to our city and to encourage both the research end of it as well as production and moving things forward. And there are a couple of businesses that are looking to, we're really close, and there's going to be some really exciting things that are going to happen in the next month or two. It's like most economic development. It takes years, and then all of a sudden it happens really fast. And everybody goes, wow, that happened fast. Well, it didn't. It's the effort and the involvement that we've done as a community. The city of Sioux Falls has invested $150,000 the last 2 budget years to continue to look for this type of project. Moving forward. And so we'll probably be asked to add some more infrastructure, some things to get it to move forward, to partner with our friends from the state, the Board of Regents, in coming together to promote bioeconomics and research.
Okay, and then just quickly, the council is looking at the budget, which will be adopted in August. There are working sessions. Can the public get involved?
Absolutely, and the best place is to look at siouxfalls.org to see when the meetings are scheduled. Each department will come in and present to the council in informational style meetings. We'll be able to ask questions, and then at the end, if there's a need, we'll do working sessions, kind of a little scheduled a little bit quicker, depending on where we want to dig in a little bit different. But I think we'll see this budget with a new mayor and a new administration, their first time through the process. Now it kind of shifts back. The council's got a little bit of an advantage of how the process works and how we want to see it moving forward. But the budget is really our future. It's what we want to see as a community. It's where our priorities are. Because we can say it's a priority, but if we don't fund it, or we overfund and move things around, and it's going to be another tight year. But we have a lot of money to spend. We're a $450 million enterprise. There's opportunities to move things around and provide the services that our citizens are asking for.
Well, thank you to City Councilor Pat Starr for joining us for Inside Town Hall today. If you want to get a hold of any of our city councilors, you can reach them at siouxfalls.org, and you can get out this summer and go to the Siouxland Heritage Museums, the Pettigrew Museum, the Old Courthouse Museum. It's free and open to the public 7 days a week. If you want to find out more, you can go to siouxlandmuseums.com. Thanks for joining us.